Goulash is not an original German or Austrian dish, but it came to our area with some Hungarian soldiers. And there are meanwhile at least 100 and more different ways to cook goulash. I will today make the famous Vienna Goulash, and I will give it my personal twist. So these are my ingredients today. I need 1 kilogram or 2 pounds of meat, and it can be beef or pork. It can even be some chicken or maybe even some turkey. So it depends on what you like. Usually you use some beef or some veal even. Today I'm using some pork. You also need 800 grams of onions, 4 cloves of garlic, some marjoram, some caraway seeds. And I still don't like caraway seeds, so I will be very careful with these. I will use some of them though, and I have to cut them very small when I use them. What else do I need? I need 4 tablespoons of paprika, and don't go for the spicy one, it might be a little bit too much. 1 teaspoon of white wine vinegar, 1 teaspoon tomato paste, some salt and pepper, 2 bell peppers, 100 milliliters red wine, 100 milliliter of broth, and you know me, I have some extra here. And you need some oil for frying. So I first heat some oil. And once the oil is hot, I'm adding the onions. And I will let these fry here now for 9 minutes before I continue with adding some more ingredients. Okay, now it's time to add the garlic and also then the tomato paste. And I never let the garlic fry for too long because it tends to become bitter. That's why I only let it be frying for like half a minute to a minute. Okay, here comes the tomato paste. And I fry this all together now for a minute. And now I'm adding the wine and the broth. I also add the marjoram and all the paprika. This is quite a bit. Okay, some salt and pepper. I can still add more salt later, so at this point it's just a rough guess. Same with the pepper. And now I'm adding the meat, and you might wonder why I'm adding it now. When I learned to make goulash originally back when I was very young, I learned to fry the meat at the beginning and then later add the liquid, and that somehow worked, but the meat always was dry and not very tender. So, and I've learned that in the meantime that if you add the meat into the liquid, it turns out to be much softer and nice and tender, just as you want it. Okay, so I let this now boil on a medium to low temperature, let's see, for 2 to 3 hours. But in between I will continuously check for the liquid, and I have some additional broth here that I can add if I feel that there needs to be more liquid in it. But I'll cover it now very well with a lid and let it boil. Now if you want to have some caraway seeds in your goulash, then you have to cut that very, very finely. And usually you use a teaspoon of caraway seeds. I'm just using half of it. I'm not a big fan of the taste. The caraway seeds, as far as I know, are in here because of the many onions. It makes it a little bit easier to digest this. And that's all there is to it. And if you are not a big fan of caraway seeds like me, then you can just leave them out and maybe use some bean aid. But I decided to put a little bit in here. And I'm also adding a teaspoon of white wine vinegar. So let's take a look at how this looks after 2 hours. And I have not added any further liquid, so it has turned out very nice here and didn't need any additional broth. So now here's my personal twist. The bell peppers are my personal twist. For me, bell peppers always belong into a goulash. And that's not just because it looks pretty and because it tastes good, it's also because it's healthy. Bell peppers have a lot of vitamin C, and vitamin C is quite important for our immune system. So especially in these times with the coronavirus, I would not want to miss out on this. And I add these about half an hour before the goulash is done. So I will put the lid back and let this boil for another 30 minutes. After half an hour, the bell pepper is nicely cooked. You can see that it's soft now. And yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's see. So how do you know if your goulash is ready? Well, it's pretty easy. You take a knife and you choose a piece of meat and you cut in it. And when it's very soft and almost falls apart, then it's ready, like this, to be served. There's one more thing that I sometimes do. I like to add a little bit of sour cream because I feel like the tomato paste adds a little bit too much of acid into this meal. So the sour cream, or you can also use some whipping cream. Okay. That softens it a little bit in the taste. So I'm mixing this in here. Yeah, and the best sides for goulash are potatoes or potato dumplings, noodles, you know, some kind of pasta. You can also use rice. It's not that common though. What else? Yeah, dumplings from rolls or bread. Schupfnudel, I don't know. What's going very well with goulash too is Spätzle. Yeah, so that's what it looks like now. Now let's see how it tastes, if it needs a little more salt. Tiny little bit. And a little more of the pepper. And I really like how the color of the bell pepper makes this meal, you know, like pop a little bit. Okay, Let's give it another try. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going for. And now it is ready to be served. Yeah, this is how to make the famous Vienna Goulash, and if you like this, please be so kind and give me a thumbs up and subscribe. If you wait a little longer, there will be some video suggestions from my channel coming up very soon.